This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Hey everyone, this is Johnny Clash and George Feis, and together we're the Gaming Marks, and you're listening to the Game Marks podcast. Each week on this podcast, we break down the good, the bad, and the ugly of wrestling video games, and we tell you if we would play it forever or future endeavor.
Oh man, I have so many great memories of playing this game. It is a classic in my library. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this game today, Johnny? Welcome to the Game Marks podcast, where each and every week for the last 6 years we have taken a deep dive into the good, the bad, and the awesome of all things wrestling video games. My name is George Feis.
And I'm the man they call Johnny Clash, and today, finally, we are playing WWF No Mercy for the Nintendo 64.
And as always, please make sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating and a review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you choose to listen. And you can follow along on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod. But also don't forget to go ahead and follow Johnny FN Clash.
Oh, stop it.
Because that is where all of the creative content will be after today. Make sure to go and follow John on Twitter and YouTube and all that good stuff. John, how you doing, man?
This is it. This is a weird feeling. Like,
it is.
I prepared these notes yesterday, and I was just like, not getting choked up. It was just kind of like a strange feeling because it was the same thing I've been doing for 6 years. Like, these notes I could do. This game specifically, No Mercy. I don't even think we need notes. But
no, we were saying before during the gameplay.
Just felt weird.
The notes for this game are basically a formality and make sure that we at least stick to the normal structure of the episodes that we've put together over the past couple of years. But in terms of content and discussing, the impact of this game and the roster and the legacy of this game, I don't think we really need notes for that part. But before we get into this game,
I'm going to say after we do this game, we're going to do this game like normal. We're going to have fun. And honestly, we just did the playthrough. Nothing puts a smile on your face and gets you in a good mood like playing a game you love, and No Mercy does that. We're going to get into the GMP stuff, the history, whatever, after we play this game. So let's go. WWE 13, that's where we were.
Yes. So before we get into this week's episode, a little follow-up from last week. We played WWE 13. How are you feeling 2 weeks out?
I think I still agree that it's a great game, and I actually came across a guy on Twitch who was playing it, which is weird because he's probably the only one on Twitch that was playing it. And through him, I was able to see it. I think it was on a different console than we were playing it on. So watching, I was just like, yeah, this is still had those roots of like SmackDown and all that. This is still a really fun game.
Oh yeah, and we've talked about it on that episode and live streams and other places that we've talked about that game. That's just one of those games that if you ask like people what one of their favorite wrestling games are, like that's, people talk about today's game, people talk about Here Comes the Pain, but I know a lot of people that would also say 13 and just the content within that game, everything that we covered last week. I know that for some people that ranks very highly on their list.
Yeah, it's a shame it was the end of THQ, but I mean, look what we have today. There was many flaws and hurdles to jump through to get there, but we got there, and I think this is all where it began. So, but is it time?
I mean, there's a lot to cover. There's a lot to talk about. This is a game with a storied history, and there's tons of content to discuss. So, without any further ado, Johnny, you ready to put on those nostalgia goggles and take the plunge into WWF No Mercy?
One last time, and we never do this part. I'm doing this part right now. This is sponsored by our good brother, Mad Cat Beard Care, because he's fucking awesome. Has had our back for the past, 2-3 years?
Yeah.
And go buy their product because they're great, and he's a great dude. And I talk to him quite frequently, and we never put our sponsors over. So go check out Mad Cat.
Hell yeah. Guys, if you want your beard to be soft and smell great, then you need Mad Cat Beard Care. Their products are all natural and made to order with vitamins and natural oils to moisturize your skin and to help make your beard healthy and strong.
Our exclusive scent, Play It Forever, is a blood orange, black clove, and vanilla scented beard balm or beard oil that can make your beard have a rich but not overpowering scent. Plus, a portion from their sales go towards finding care for stray cats, covering their medical bills and finding them safe places and forever homes.
Use code GameMarks to save yourself 15% when you place an order over at madcatbeardcare.com. That's 15% off with code GameMarks. And remember, the Mad Cat makes a happy beard. All right, John, here we go. WWF No Mercy, released November 17th, 2000, developed by Asmic Ace Entertainment and AKI Corp, published by THQ, and of course, this is on the Nintendo 64. And other wrestling games you got in 2000, you've got Giant Graham 2000, All Japan Pro Wrestling 3, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, ECW Hardcore Revolution and Anarchy Rules, All-Star Pro Wrestling, WCW Backstage Assault, WWF SmackDown, WWF Royal Rumble, WWF SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. John, you gotta say this one.
Fire Pro Wrestling for the Wonder Swan.
Lovely. Simple 1500 Series Volume 52, The Pro Wrestling 2, and Big Bang Pro Wrestling.
Now, we've played this game a million times. We've even discussed it on this podcast when we did Game Wars in full detail, but this is the end-all be-all. This is the No Mercy episode. We all know this is the sequel to WrestleMania 2000. This is the last of the AKI wrestling games on N64, which started with WCW World Tour. We've played them all. Go check them out in the archive. No Mercy has a lot of improvements from WrestleMania 2000. Improved graphics. It has more game modes. It has more match types, more wrestlers, more costumes for wrestlers, we can call them. And but it's just an overall upgrade.
We did talk about this, I believe, with Swoggle. Or maybe we even touched on it again during Game Wars, that there are people, I believe Swoggle feels this way, that thinks that the face scans in WrestleMania 2000 are better than the ones in No Mercy. But the overall presentation of everything else in No Mercy is so good that you almost let the face scans slide.
I could almost agree. I think there's just something like smoother about them. They're like easier to look at. Them like tricks your mind into thinking they're better.
I could see that.
Either way, I mean, these, like, I've modded this game before, or attempted to. Like, it's just literally skins of a game. Like, you could put a face on it and re-upload it, and it's the real face. So, like, this is mostly, I guess, real faces, but they like modified them to look like video game characters. So, but we have championship mode in here, which I think is the main mode, the bread and butter. It's got branching storylines based on real life events, which is really cool because you saw it on TV and it was happening only a few months later in your video game, which I thought was amazing as a kid because I'm Mick Foley and now I'm Cactus Jack facing Triple H at WrestleMania and in the four corner match and the Royal Rumble. Like, how did that get in the game so fast? That blew my mind as a kid. There's SmackDown Mall with some new unlockables. The ever-loving survival mode, which is a giant Royal Rumble where you unlock any wrestler that comes out. And that's how you earn cash to use in the SmackDown Mall. Which, also a really cool mode.
What a fun challenge that was back in the day. I'm sure that we'll cover that more in the gameplay section.
Show my hacks.
Just, oh my God. There were, I know people in my group of friends when we were kids that was the test of your skill at the game. What difficulty you could go through it on, how far you could get, and that was how you measured your skill at No Mercy.
But also it was something to do if you ran out, like if you're done with championship mode, it's something to do.
Yeah.
Now, for me, we're going to get into this later, like kind of in full detail. The championship modes back then seemed so hard and so long, but now, playing them now, they're only like 4 or 5 matches. You could run through them in less than an hour.
That's very true. That is very true.
I don't know if that's like the skill of us being old or what. Now let's talk about this quickly. The save data on the basic USA cartridge.
The battery issue
behind me. Now they re-released it with USA dash what A, right? Or 1?
Yeah. Well,
A?
1, I think.
USA dash 1, and that was the fixed file. Now I have the old one. As far as I know, I haven't touched it in a while. The N64 is in the closet, but it does still work. I never experienced a save glitch, but it's... I almost took out Rugrats in Paris because those are my only 2 black cartridges here. It is just USA. I don't know. You probably can't see it from here, but
So
it's the original.
The issue was with the battery, the internal battery that...
Damn it, it still looks good, to be honest. Like, not even like a scratch on the sticker.
Go. Now you know. Johnny Clash takes care of his cartridges.
Now, modding is also a big thing. We've played a lot of them, and it's just so easy to mod this game. You literally dump the files and then re-upload them after you reskin them. I'm sure there's
We've
way
covered
more.
some of the mods on our YouTube channel.
There's way more that goes into it than just that. It's not that easy, but that's how, like, if you're skilled, there are insane mods at this game, and some of them do take a little hoops to jump through to make them run, make them work, but they're there. You could even buy them in cartridge form. There's some on eBay. It's just crazy. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, the rumored Backlash sequel, we've all seen this cover. If you're a wrestling video game fan, you've seen it with Triple H on the cover. It has the Backlash logo. Now, the rumor was that this game was scrapped when it was 30% complete. They were tipped off about the GameCube and were starting to build WrestleMania X8, which is an okay game. And you could also see the foundation of these games within all of those games on the GameCube as well. But in March of 2020, as part of the Talk Shit podcast, Pro Wrestling X producer Dave Wisnowski interviewed Sanders Keel, the THQ producer behind professional wrestling games, including No Mercy, and he asked him about this sequel, and he responded that corporate issues, including AKI not wanting to work with any Nintendo systems in favor of the PlayStation following No Mercy, as well as THQ committing towards a relationship with Ukes, this game never happened. This was all a rumor. There was a screenshot from a magazine. There are fireworks blowing up outside my house. It feels like Monday Night Raw in here. There were screenshots that were shown, but it was clearly a modded version because you saw 2004 Undertaker in there, like what he looked like in that era. And I think there were some other, I think Sting was in one of them. Like, why would Sting be in there? He wasn't even there yet. So clearly they were just mods, and it didn't happen, unfortunately. But we always wanted the sequel. I think we're happy with what we got after the fact. And yeah, we kind of took it from there.
It's kind of hard to cover a game that's only, 30% complete. You don't know how far they got into it, and there's very little information. We did our best to cover it in our podcast What If episode.
That's true. Yeah. That was a good episode. Go back and listen to that.
It was very different in the style of every now and then over the course of the podcast, we're just let's try something different. That's how we ended up doing the video game histories of, the best and worst of, and
Super
then
Mario Brothers.
we started playing different game series, and then at a certain point, John and I just kind of were just like, you ever wonder about this or that or whatever would happen, or what if this happened? And then it was just kind of like, you think we could do an entire podcast on what ifs?
Yeah, and it was good that we used the Patreon to poll them for questions too, and we got everybody involved.
Absolutely.
Cool. Like, this is what I just loved. We covered everything. I said this. Okay, I just did an interview with friend of the show. He's a listener since day one, fan of the show, Chris Sanders, Coach C. Check it out on YouTube. I posted it all over social media. And he was asking about the podcast, and I said the good thing is nobody's doing anything like this. There are podcasts that cover games, and they cover them in full depth. But I fully believe right now, there are some that slip through the cracks. We have covered majority of everything. We are the end-all, be-all compendium of wrestling video games right here.
I mean, there are some, the list is ever growing. We've said it from the beginning of the podcast, is that every year there are new titles, and every year the list grows. And that's always been consistent. There's always a new Steam game that's coming out, or a new main console release, or something like that. And we've done our best over the course of the last almost 6 years to cover all of them. And there are some that we're not going to be able to get to. But, like John said, we have done a wide range of all different game types. And I think we've covered the play styles. We've done RPGs. We've done a couple of Sims.
Consoles, we've covered
it. Consoles. We've done the Fire Pro style all the way over to like the arcadey button mash style. And almost
That's
everything in between.
I think if we kept going, there's only a few more Fire Pros we didn't cover. And everything else is kind of like a booking sim or the simple 1500 series. Like, we don't need to play those. Even like the UFC games. This isn't like MMA, Game Mark's MMA podcast. So,
all right, we're doing the thing that we said that we weren't going to do. We're talking about podcast stuff. I'm going to try to get us back on track. John, let's talk about these match types here.
How cool were the fact that we had a ladder match, the fact that we had an Iron Man, a guest referee. Referee is cool in any match. I'm glad it's back finally.
Guest referee is the match that I put the most time in.
Yeah,
with
it was
my
just
friends.
fun.
It was just it's chaos.
Chaos. You get to super kick the wrestlers if they touch you. They're DQ'd or whatever. You could make who you want win. But there's exhibition mode within there. Of course, there's your tag team match, your fatal four ways and whatnot. You could turn any match into a hardcore match. There's the Royal Rumble, which goes all the way up to 40 wrestlers. The pay-per-view you can create on your own. A King of the Ring tournament, guest referee, ladder, Iron Man, championship, which is your branching storylines, and your survival, which we talked about earlier. But I think what the coolest part in here is you get pretty much every arena for the entire year here. You get Raw, No Mercy, SmackDown, King of the Ring, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania 2000, Backlash, and Armageddon. That firework was so loud that I just almost crapped my pants. But some of these you have to unlock in the SmackDown Mall. I think you start with maybe the top 3, but as you go on in championship mode and all that, you're able to unlock these.
Oh, man. It's one of those... This menu, these match types, these arenas are just straight nostalgia. From the, I don't want to jump ahead and talk about the graphics and the presentation of them, and it's hard to because it's one thing to talk about a list of things and show that and talk about what's available. But if you've played this game, this is a game that you put a lot of time into. Just seeing the main menu screen is a huge hit of nostalgia.
You know what my favorite part about this whole thing is? How quickly this game loads.
It is.
You could
very
be
fast.
in a match in like 90 seconds, maybe under. Even on like the old cartridge, like it's so fast. And I think that's what was so good about the N64. The load times were quick. Your cartridge, smaller files, smaller saves. It was beautiful. It was just beautiful. But now let's talk about the championships because this was so unique. There was some weirdness in here. Some of them have Michael Cole talking with some awkward speech bubbles. Now, I played through this on stream maybe a year ago. Some of the stuff that is said in championship mode could never be said in a video game again.
No way.
Something about trash bag hose. Chris Jericho's line about the trash bag hose with Stephanie and all that. Like, that's all in here. I played this game as a 12-year-old, which is fine. I didn't repeat it, but there's just something weird about it. Like, it does not hold up well in that aspect. I mean, it's the Attitude Era. Of course it doesn't. Even when you jump into the women's storyline, you're immediately thrown in a swimsuit competition. Now, I don't know if you did what I did, but if it was hard to beat, which sometimes these, the matches are hard. Like, you have to do them timed or whatever. I would go into Viscera and switch him to female. And I would enter as Viscera and he would come out in the bikini.
I did not do that.
Oh my God.
I don't think I knew that you could do that.
You could do that, yeah. I definitely played a bunch as Viscera. That's the same as say I wanted to do the heavyweight title with Jeff Hardy. He wasn't strong enough. I would make him a super heavyweight. And then he was harder to pick up.
I do know. I think I did that.
Yeah.
I would take Jeff or Edge through and make them their weight class differently.
Yeah. I mean, that was just the fun of it. I still wish I'm going to set up the N64 one day because I want to see my cartridge. I know I took all of my backyard wrestlers, like my cousin and all that, and I made all of us in here. You
have a battery glitched cartridge, don't you?
Yeah, but as far as I know, it still works.
It could happen on a random reset.
It could.
Do you have a
we
memory
made it
pack?
this far. No, but if we made it this far, that's fine. It's fine if it's gone. I'll happily start over.
But as long as it still works.
We'll see. I'll test it and I'll let you know. But as far as the championship mode goes, you had your World Heavyweight, Intercontinental, European, Hardcore Women's, Tag, and Light Heavyweight.
Yes.
And branching storylines, they resembled real-life storylines. Some things were a little skewed. I think there was a table match with the Dudleys that you had to use the announce table for because there were no tables in the game during a ladder match, I think. There's, like I said before, the Mick Foley Triple H storyline. There's some hardcore stuff in there, too. And as there's a branch, like you see the branch. So if you want to get to a certain point, you know if you have to win or lose. But I think that was the trickiest part.
The coolest part.
The coolest and the trickiest, because you would think you did it right and all of a sudden it would shoot over to where you already were and you wouldn't unlock that part. I think I got like 89% done on this one, so I don't know where exactly I'm at. I would love to 100% them all one day, but I don't have the time for that.
That sounds like a good stream challenge or a YouTube video.
That could be fun, but there's a lot of I almost said recipes. We're going to get into that later. There's a lot of like cheat sheets online telling you what to do in order to unlock them all. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. There was nothing like this at the time. I mean, SmackDown's story mode of this era was really lackluster. You only had like a few little segments, few matches. It wasn't really much. I mean, the load times on those were insane. SmackDown 2 around the same time. Same thing. I mean, there was some storylines. They resembled the real life storylines, but they weren't so drawn out. Like this, you had backstage cutscenes that led into matches. You had mandatory matches. You had matches that would sway which way the story went, win or lose. Like, it was just really cool. There was nothing like this.
I think the big thing in the debate, I guess, I don't even know if it's really a debate. You said you had both. I knew people that had both. It was just a matter of what your play style was. Like, you could be good at both games, but maybe you preferred the play style of SmackDown more, or
I played
you were good
both
at SmackDown,
equally.
but you enjoyed the play style of No Mercy.
Easily played both like equally. Maybe this one even more. But I've mentioned before that this was my sister's N64, so it was in her room on her little TV. I didn't know until years later that there was like good music in this game because her TV was so glitched that it was like everything was muffled. Only in this game that I thought that it was this, but it turned out it was just a TV. But, she was younger than me, so she would go to bed early, or I wasn't able to play like maybe a little bit after school. SmackDown was in my room on my PlayStation, so I put just enough time into that. But also I feel like it's almost saying like right now, I either want to play Fire Pro World or I want to play 2K. Like they are two different games. They have two different feels, two different looks. SmackDown is more on the realistic side, and this has its own unique style. So
yeah, it's
fine playing both.
It's not for. I guess you could say it about both. There's some people that just whatever that art style is or whatever that game style is, and the presentation of it. It's not for everyone. There are some people that prefer the No Mercy. There's some people that prefer the SmackDown. I know that a lot of the biggest complaint that I always had about SmackDown was the create a wrestler options. It was really hard to make because it was like you only had like you couldn't change the individual parts of people's face and their hair. You just picked from the pre-mades and then you had a pre-made towards it. That was always I was like, you definitely could do more in No Mercy.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to that too. We want to talk about the whole thing, but
yeah,
let's. What do you say we talk about this ever-loving roster here?
Let's get into it. You want to kick us off and then tag me in when you're ready?
Yeah, I'll tag you in. You have Albert, Al Snow, Big Boss Man, Bradshaw, British Bulldog, Bubba Ray Dudley, Bull Buchanan, Chris Benoit. Should I beep it for old time's sake? Piss people off. Chris Jericho, Christian, Crash Holly, D'Lo Brown, Dean Malenko, Devon Dudley, Eddie Guerrero, Edge, S.A. Rios, Farouk Funaki, Godfather, The Good Father, that's a different costume option, Grandmaster Sexay, Hardcore Holly, Jeff Hardy, Kane, Kurt Angle, Mankind, Matt Hardy. Did I say Mark Henry already? Mark Henry again, in case I didn't. Mr. Ass, Billy Gunn, Perry Saturn, Rikishi, Road Dogg, The Rock, Scotty 2 Hottie, Steve Austin, Steve Blackman, Steven Richards, Taka Michinoku, Taz, Test, Triple H, The Undertaker, Val Venus, Viscera, and X-Pac. You're up.
All right, and then for the women's roster, you have Lita, Trish Stratus, Terry, Stephanie McMahon, The Cat, Deborah, Jacqueline, Ivory, Chyna, and Tori. And I'm just going to continue going because John read that really long roster for the unlockable wrestlers. You've got Andre the Giant, Cactus Jack, Fabulous Moolah, Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross, Ken Shamrock, Linda McMahon, Earl Hebner, Gerald Briscoe, Howard Finkel, Pat Patterson, Paul Bearer, Mae Young, Michael Cole, Mick Foley, Shane McMahon, The Ho, Shawn Michaels, and Vince McMahon.
This is...
It's all over the place.
End all be all Attitude Era roster right here.
It's all over the place, but in the best way possible. You've got light heavyweight, you've got the mid card,
Howard
got
Finkel,
the main card, you've got tag teams, you've got announcers, managers. It has for playing a wrestling game on the N64 in 2000, it's got the ins and outs of everything, like you said, everything you want in an Attitude Era roster.
Now, who do you think is missing? Like right off the bat, I think the Big Show's missing.
Well, there were people that were removed, like scanned but removed.
Has to be.
Mean Street Posse is supposed to be in here. Big Show, Gangrel, I think. There's assets within the game file
now,
for folks that were removed.
This is when the Big Show was moved back down to Ohio Valley Wrestling, and they didn't think he would continue. But his shirt's in the game. And I think he was replaced by Steven Richards, right?
That I don't...
I think that's what it was. Stevie Richards replaced him. And I also don't know about you, but Right to Censor really annoyed me as a kid, and I would always change Steven Richards back to Big Stevie Cool. Because I didn't want that guy in my game anymore. That's another cool part.
Big Show was sent back down to OVW, but you could add him back in with the use of a Game Shark. Other wrestlers that had the head scans, you've got the Headbangers, Midian, Gangrel, and the Mean Street Posse.
And all of those little icons are in the Creator Wrestler.
Yep.
For you to choose.
Also, AKI Man and AKI Woman are in there too.
That's right. And a bunch of scary monsters. But let's take a quick break. Let's pay the bills one last time, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk about Creator Wrestler.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. I think Creator Wrestler here. Not too in-depth, but it gives us a glimpse of what we see today. It's as in-depth as you can get on the hardware you're given. You start off by the parameters, the name, all of that stuff, the height, the weight. Then you get into the actual creation, what the wrestler looks like. You have many options. Most of it is just parts from other wrestlers, but you could recolor them, which I think is cool. So you can think outside the box. Like I used to always make RVD. There was always that singlet with like the dragon on it that everybody used. Same with Sting. There was like a scorpion pants in there.
It's the Muda pants, I think.
The Muda pants, yes. And you could do your whole moveset as well. Like it kind of looks like today, like where you have on the right side of the screen, your wrestler testing the move out, which was always super cool because you could actually see what it looked like. Some of the old games didn't have that. You didn't really know what you were working with there. Your music, you change absolutely everything, your parameters. And now let's talk about one of our favorite parts here, the recipes.
Oh, I was going to say, I was ready for you to go, let's talk about John's least favorite part, selecting your moveset.
No, it wasn't bad in this game because there was not many options. It's not like now where there's like 17 options for each button. It was just kind of one and
finisher,
done.
An out-of-ring finisher.
Yeah, it wasn't that
finisher,
bad. I still haven't done mine in 25, and I probably never will, to be honest. But recipes online, I have a binder in my basement still. It has guitar tabs in it, and in the back is, what's it called?
Oh, you got
recipes for No Mercy. And anyone you wanted, you would look up on like Cheat CC or one of those websites. They would tell you what pieces to use, what parameters. I remember making RVD, Sting, anyone you wanted, because sometimes it was hard to do it on your own and you didn't know what to pick. It would give you every move listed out. The Big Show, Raven, another guy who should have been in this game. Everyone was there. It was so cool.
Oh man. And there's a lot of assets from Revenge as well and WrestleMania 2000, obviously. So like there's a lot of taunts, and you could make with some a little bit of creativity, like you were saying, following those recipes, you could make a lot of the wrestlers from, Revenge, or if there were people that were in WrestleMania 2000 that didn't make it over to No Mercy, the moves, the taunts, they're all there. So you could make it work.
Absolutely. And some of them, I had to squint a little bit, but some of them, like Big Show, because his parts were in there, he was pretty much there. I don't know.
I think you only had to use the Game Shark to get the his actual face scan.
Yeah,
you could make it work with, without that. You didn't need to have that.
I think even Raven, they had the leather jacket with the flannel shirt hanging out.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
It's crazy, man. It's like you said, there were so many recipes, so many different creator wrestlers that you could make, and they were seemingly endless. I mean, if you do a quick Google search, you could still find, very old forums with, not active, but like the links are still live of recipes and different wrestlers that you could still make within No Mercy, and they're, a little time capsule from the time earlier days of the internet.
I'm on nomercy.fandom right now. Oh, Dude Love. Did we mention Dude Love? His assets were in here too?
Dude Love is
Draws, his face tattoos, tie-dye ring attire are available. Raven, his face tattoos, biker jacket, flannel. Yokozuna, his ring attire is in here.
Yep.
Ultimate Warrior is original one ring attire and serpent face paint. It wasn't exact.
Oh yeah, I do.
But there was some stuff in there.
A lot of different assets, like we were saying. You can make a lot of crossover stuff. Even some VPW stuff is available.
Yeah, look at this. There's parts from Kenta Kobashi, Akira Tao, Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody, Muda, Dr. Death, Kevin Nash.
Yeah, those Sting pants. I'm fairly certain those Sting pants are the Muda.
I think so too.
Man.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about.
You got to find that. If you could find that binder,
I'll look.
And post that. That would be.
I'll definitely look.
Did you have one character that you always made in like after the cartridge reset? Did you always have Mad Cat?
Mad Cat was me, and I feel like he always looked different, even through like Day of Reckoning. Always different. Like I always was changing. I was like Trunks, then I was like, oh, I liked bikers like Billy Kidman. Like I don't know. I feel like in No Mercy though, I wore like a white tank top and jeans because that's what I wrestled in backyard wrestling when I was 12. Because I didn't have wrestling gear. I always tried to make it like as realistic and like close to life as possible. I'm sure Wildcat is in my game as well here, who is TK Wild. So even back here, we were still in the game together.
Wait, with like Wild spelled the way that it is now?
Wild, no, it was regular Wild and then K-A-T-T, like my M-A-D-D, K-A-T-T, Mad Cat.
I was going to say, if that's a deep cut for TK, yeah. if it's that far back.
That is where he got the Wild from, though, which is pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fun little TK fact.
Let's go. Let's talk about this artwork here.
Iconic roster, or iconic cover. It has the same background and the same logo, obviously, that you would see on the cartridge itself. You've got Edge giving a spinning kick to Matt Hardy. You've got The Rock, and you've got Triple H doing a pedigree. Man, oh man.
What do you think that is?
Who's he giving the pedigree to?
Yeah. That's a strong fist. It almost looks like Bubba Ray Dudley's gear.
I can't tell if it's gear or if it's a shadow.
Yeah. I'm sure somebody knows and can tell us. Let's ask chat.
I don't think I've ever...
Who is Triple H pedigreeing on the cover of WWF No Mercy? There's no way it knows this. No way at all. It's been searching the web for a really long time. Fans have long debated who Triple H is given the pedigree to. It's confirmed to be Al Snow on the 10/21/99 episode of SmackDown.
Oh.
Al Snow is wearing a black Job Squad shirt and white wrist tape matching the cover image. The pedigree scene aligns with the match on October 21st SmackDown.
Look at that.
Oh, damn.
It knew.
Other speculations include Mick Foley and Road Dogg, and no, I don't think so.
That's crazy that it was able to figure that out.
It pulled it from Reddit.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's too slim to be Mick Foley and not tattooed to be Road Dogg.
Yeah, I don't think I've always just thought it was a shadow. Like, I didn't think it was someone in a shirt. I was like, oh, they just, like how you can only, like, barely see the color of the Rock shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, it just must be, like, the shadow, the way that the photography was taken, that it's, like, that's someone that's not wearing a shirt, but the shadow is just so bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the greatest cover, but it is iconic. You see it, you know
it's
it.
wrestling.
I remember going to... I could picture the store, but I couldn't tell you what the store was. I want to say Target because it looked like Target, but I don't think Target was like a thing back then in 99, 2000. Maybe it could have been Walmart.
Could have been Walmart.
I do remember like the look of the case, and I was so happy to get this. And then my sister was doing the ultimate little sister thing, like, when I get home I'm playing Rugrats. It's like, no you're not, I'm playing No Mercy. I'm probably gonna play it for the next 5 days straight, so don't bug me. Oh man, I probably got it with Christmas money, so I was a little late. And this is definitely a game that everybody talked about in school.
Oh yeah,
like I remember distinguished times people talking about Revenge, and I didn't have it, and I felt left out because I was such a wrestling fan. But then finally No Mercy came out. This was the game. Everybody loved it. I was in 6th grade. This was a great time.
I remember. So the first N64 wrestling game I played, talked about on the podcast. I think we rented an N64. Remember when you could do that? You could rent an N64, a console from Blockbuster.
I used to rent PS2s all the time.
Rented an N64, and I picked World Tour. And that was it. I was hooked. I was like, this is... Like, I had played the SNES games. I had played Royal Rumble. But I never had them. I just would play them at friends' houses, and then we rented the N64. And man, oh man. This like, that was the first time that, like, I felt like that I could remember that a wrestling game clicked, and I was like, this is really cool. And that was it. Like, was super interested in everything that came after that. Like, super interested in Revenge, super interested in WrestleMania 2000. And obviously,
man,
over the years, this has stood the test of time as a game that I never stopped playing. And over the course of the last 6 years, 5 or 6 years, have even played more than I maybe did back as a kid because of all the stuff that we did with it.
I don't think I have a game in my life that has been more timeless than this one.
No, it's
that I've put more time into. I've told the story on here. I'll tell it again. We used to download the emulator on the school library computers in high school.
Oh yeah, I know this story.
And we would be able to like LAN in and play with each other somehow. I don't remember how we did it. Probably how me and you do it. Some sort of remote software, but like
early
school.
parsec.
Yeah, like through the school. Like we were idiots. But I remember doing 4 versions of Billy Gunn in the match. In a fatal 4-way. And remember, when you would taunt in the beginning of the match against the computer would taunt. So I did that right away, and every single Billy Gunn did the moon taunt. Every single one of them dropped their pants and showed their ass right as my teacher froze the screen.
Oh.
Because they would freeze the screen and then come over and be like, what are you doing? They froze the screen. There was 4 Billy Gunns with the sensor blur given the full moon. And I panicked and had to turn off my computer so fast. And I remember they come over and I was just like, well, my computer reset. And they're like, yeah, mm-hmm. But man, yeah, we even used to play it then. We used to play it on the keyboard, which was crazy.
I mean, you've done that before too?
But it's so hard.
It is. It's definitely difficult to play this game or any. I think most N64 games are probably hard to play on a keyboard.
Yeah.
There
I mean, honestly,
that
they're hard to play on any other controller but an N64 controller because the way it's laid out.
It's true. It's very true. All right, let's talk about this back cover here, John. A lot of screenshots of matches and all the things that can happen. It says, wreak havoc on the Federation. Jump into the ring with the biggest, baddest jabronis around and experience brutal WWF action never seen before in a console game. You've got a screenshot of the ladder that says all new ladder match. You've got a screenshot of Triple H doing the pedigree. It says take on the entire Federation in survival mode. And then you have the loading area of the backstage
which was so cool. Groundbreaking.
Oh my God. Backstage area is so cool. Take the action out of the ring in 10 different backstage areas. And then you have the Dudley Boys doing the 3D to X-Pac, and it says all new double team moves like the Dudley 3D Death Drop. And then you have the last screenshot is Kurt Angle, and it says over 65 WWF superstars.
Crazy. Just crazy. It tells you it's a wrestling game, and you get to see, I think the coolest part was seeing the SmackDown arena in here.
Oh, yeah. There were like this to see tag team moves, to see a backstage area, to see the scale.
Jumping off a ladder.
That's what I was just going to say. To see the scale of the camera pulled out so you can see the entire entrance ramp and Jeff Hardy on the ladder jumping off onto Edge. Like, it not only tells the story that it's a wrestling game, but it shows you exactly what the cool features of the game are.
You know, one feature is they should have highlighted because it's one I definitely needed in WrestleMania 2000. Running grapples.
Ooh, running grapples.
We got running grapples finally.
That's
which
very
is
true.
Amazing. And now the cartridge, as we've seen, it's literally just the No Mercy logo with the cool little scratchy background.
Yeah.
That's it. Damn, this cartridge looks really nice. I got to protect it by all costs.
There you go. Get a little...
T for teen.
A little stand for it.
Now, we've talked about the graphics a little bit. I don't think they're great at all. They've got the main parts here. Let's be honest. The graphics suck.
They're on par with everything else that, like, from this, like, the THQ AKI series. It is, you take the platform of World Tour and you just slowly get more features and the textures get a little better. They're not
only a little
monumental jumps. It's not anything crazy, but they do get a little better. The stages very much so. That you can really see the upgrade to that presentation.
There's just so many broken pixels.
Yeah,
many tears. Like it annoys me in almost every N64 game. How they did not care how pixelated stuff looked,
or how. Oh, I thought you were going to say about how the repeated textures aren't the same. Like they don't match up perfectly every time.
I mean that too, but like graphics would go over the screen and they would look like boxes stacked on top of each other. They were so bad. Like why does that look like that when, like, say Super Mario, Wario, a wrestler on the screen doesn't look like that? Like, yeah, there's pixelations within the costumes and all that because there's not great layering in these games. But man, some of it you really have to look past. And I think that is one of the biggest things about this game. The arms aren't attached to the body.
I was just going to say.
The crowd looks like a piece of paper.
For certain, types.
I think smaller wrestlers.
Yeah, I think it's like the super skinny body, and I think everyone on the women's roster.
Yeah, but that speaks volumes to how good this game is that we were able to look past like how bad that stuff was. Like right now, if a game looks bad, or even, I mean, think about AEW Fight Forever. Nothing in that game plays bad.
Yeah.
There's just lack of updates. Maybe it looks a little Fortnite-y, a little cartoony, but it gets so much hate. Like this didn't get any of that, even with SmackDown and SmackDown 2 coming out in the same year on a rival console with better hardware. I mean, I guess to each their own. Terrible graphics, and it's still regarded as one of, if not the greatest wrestling games ever.
Yeah, it is. It's got that. I don't know exactly how best to say it. Like, it just has that intangible factor. It's the No Mercy is a game that is truly like the sum of all the parts. Like it's the control, it's the controls, it's the animations, it's that certain level of, it's not the worst graphics, but it's definitely not the best graphics. It's like that combined with all the other parts and just the replayability and the different game modes and the different match types. Like, it truly is just altogether, this feels like a very complete, packed like game from start to finish. There's something for everyone. If you want to do nothing but the survival mode, if you want to do creator wrestler, if you want to run through the championship and do all those, like there's something for everyone, which is crazy to think that on an N64 you're getting such a complete package in a wrestling game.
Not only that, but like how much fun is it to play the matches? Like something, the momentum's actually swing. Like how much fun is it to knock somebody out or make them tap out, or they're losing it, or hitting your opponent's special. You didn't need Move Thief back then because you just press A and B together and
steal your opponent's taunts too.
Yes. Like figuring that stuff out as a kid was so great. That's like I said, I was going to say it before, survival mode. Back to the recipes. I remember reading online, you want to unlock everything? Take a chair or take a really heavy piece of tape. If you don't like your controller, tape down A and B and choose either X-Pac or Perry Saturn. Perry Saturn has the sweep kick, and all he does is just sweep people out of the ring. But he was not as good as X-Pac because X-Pac actually moved with his spin kick. So as you're doing the spin kick, he actually moves like towards the rope. So you could just leave it on for as long as possible. Nobody's getting near you because you're just throwing that kick, and that's it. I think crazy. I briefly did it, but it wasn't like I was just watching. It wasn't fun. Like I actually sat there and played survival over and over again.
Like we were saying before, it's there. And the other thing, I'll make my point about survival in a second, but you could also make your own rules. Like if you were playing against your friend, or even if you were just playing against your computer, like you could say like, oh, it's a tables match. You have to go through the announce table. Like it's not officially a tables match. Like it's not a selectable match type. Or you could make it a TLC match, or you could do, finishers only, or TKO only. Like you could make different, using the match rules, your own imagination, and agreed upon terms with, if you're playing with someone else, you could make your own match types, which was always fun, always creative, and especially when you're getting into like the special guest referee and stuff like that.
It's just endless. It's so cool. This game had it all. Did you know? Damn, that was the last one. Did you know WWF No Mercy's hold mechanic revolutionized wrestling gameplay by introducing counters and reversals that required timing and strategy, making matches a little more tough and less button mashing?
There you go. Did you know WWF No Mercy remains a cult classic, often hailed as one of the greatest wrestling games ever made due to balanced gameplay, deep gameplay mechanics, and a faithful capture of the 90s WWF Attitude Era?
Did you know WWF No Mercy is on eBay for $19 to $35 used, $90 to $200 sealed, and a whopping $500 to $800 graded? Now, in those grades, I only saw 7.5, I think was the highest.
Damn.
It was like from like a 6 to like a 7.5 I saw. So there could be others out there that are graded even more, which is absolutely crazy. Let's talk about that hold mechanic, and let's talk about a few other things before we get into the ratings and reviews. I think it was super cool. See, I don't think you played this way, but I do. I use the left trigger or bumper for grapples, and I use the right for strikes. And that seems to work better for me. If I try to use the regular right for grapples, it doesn't usually work for me.
Wait. One more time?
I use the left bumper for grapples, the right bumper for strikes.
Oh.
That might be just like a timing thing of my hands.
Huh.
I don't know if that's like how it was intended. I'm looking at the book right now.
I always thought left bumper, was only for the breaking of the grapples, and that every other block happened on the.
Oh, that's how I always do it, and it seems to work better for me.
Huh.
I'm trying to find like a controller layout. I can't seem to find it though, like one that explains it. I see like the layout here, but it doesn't say what it does. But see, like defense, L and R, use reversals and grappling. Yeah, I don't think it matters. It might just be like I'm used to that timing with that like finger.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's how I do it. That's how I've always done it, and it seems to work better for me. Because even when I do get caught using the right bumper on like a grapple, it seems to like just not work. But you do have the strong moves, which are great. Strong grapples, strong strikes. Yes. That adds a lot to the games. You can't usually use them right away. It's kind of like Fire Pro in that sense. You have to beat your opponent a little bit to finally get them. They're easier to reverse in the beginning. But it's just like match progression. It's great. It's everything. This game is just everything.
Like I said, it's a complete. It is truly, I think, the best sum of all of the parts. Like it is. It's just very interesting. It's just it's such a very familiar, even from like it's a very easy pick up and play kind of game. Like even if it's the first time you're ever, and this goes for World Tour, Revenge, WrestleMania 2000, and this game. It's very intuitive. Like you just pick it up, and within a couple of minutes, you already kind of have a general baseline understanding of the controls.
Yeah, and yeah, I really have nothing. Like I just love this game. I'll skip ahead a little bit right now. I filled in Play It Forever for us on our spreadsheet we had like 5 weeks ago. But
oh yeah, nice.
Let's sit back now. I want for one last time. Give me the hands behind the head. Give me something. We're gonna sit back, relax.
You want one of these
with some R&R, some ratings and reviews. All right, across Metacritic, it has an 89 out of 100. CNET Game Center, 8 out of 10. EGM with an 8.17 out of 10. I'm sure you love that decimal. Game Informer with a 9.5 out of 10. Game Revolution, a B+. GameSpot, 7.7 out of 10. IGN, 9 out of... They finally rated a wrestling game a 9. 9 out of 10 on IGN. N64 Magazine, a 92%. Next Generation, 4 out of 5. Nintendo Power, 7.3 out of 10. And X-Play, 4 out of 5 stars. Now, overall, critically well received, and it would become one of the best-selling titles for the N64, as well as the third best-selling wrestling game for the N64. And in the years since its release, No Mercy has been regarded one of the best wrestling video games ever. And in Game Marks podcast lore and our history, it is the winner of Game Wars, where we had a tournament to find the best wrestling game voted on by you guys. It defeated SmackDown Here Comes the Pain in the finals, and I think it's the greatest wrestling game ever made.
Yeah, it's hard to
besides TNA Impact.
I was
had to get it in one last time.
There you go.
But with that, George, you know what time it is?
Is it time, one last time, for us to rate the game?
The game!
Oh, I'm going to miss Drowning Pool.
John,
that is Drowning
I have
Pool,
never
right?
felt more confident in what I am about to say. We're going to do an old-fashioned 3, 2, 1, John. 3, 2, 1. Play it forever.
I'm so glad we have that now, like on this recording software, because when I used to have to line that up in GarageBand, it never worked.
I actually think we have done enough of these that the delay, like when I asked the question, I think over time we've slowly gotten better at like trimming the delay of the audio. So hopefully you don't have to fix too much and it's just right on the money. But yeah, it's what can you say about a game that we already said it's widely regarded as one of the best wrestling video games ever created. It is on people's. It may not be everyone's favorite. Some people may prefer Here Comes the Pain.
It's still on their
Maybe
list.
Before a New Time. It is on the Mount Rushmore, I think, for sure.
Absolutely.
For most people. And yeah, it's like we've said multiple times. It's just one of the most replayable wrestling games available.
I feel like I've said it all already, but playing this in our playthrough, this is probably our longest playthrough, other than that one last man standing match we had where none of us would get up. This is just one of those things that just makes you smile. Like playing this game, it's not even that it takes you back to your childhood, which it does. It's just fun to play. Like it takes me back to like last year or the year before that. Like I've probably played this game every year of my life, which is insane. And I don't know if I could say that about many other games. I mean, maybe Gears of War comes close. I've played it every few years though, never every year. Maybe the original Super Mario Brothers comes close. Sonic 2.
What about Mickey Mousecapades? You're on record saying that you love that game.
Without this podcast, I don't know if I'll ever play that again, but I'm glad I introduced a lot of you to it.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's John's gift to the world.
The double play forever, I don't think has ever been more deserved than this game.
No, I don't think it's. I also don't think it's ever been more predictable.
Yeah.
After all the time that we put
That's
into
why we didn't
playing
want to
this
play
game
it.
and all the content that we've made with it, like
Most literal play it forever we have.
because we have been playing it forever. Yeah,
Crazy. But
that's
hey,
wild.
George, we just finished our last ever deep dive. But are you ready to get into a big soft lock?
Hold on, I'm still letting the. We just did our last game sink in.
Diggity dog.
All right, well, here we go. It's time for us to get into the soft lock. All right, the soft lock is a segment on the podcast where our mega marks in our Discord give us a topic to debate, a question to answer. It is a question of the week with a fancy name, and like John said, this is a special soft lock segment. We have a couple of questions from a couple of different people in our Discord. We are going to kick it off with the Elder Spork. And Spork's first question is, what's something in your daily routine or life or work that is now something you do all the time because of the podcast? And I already have an answer for this. As I was reading the question, I knew exactly what it was. I do a lot more video stuff than I ever did prior to doing the podcast.
I think we learned a lot. Video, audio. I mean, think about the first ever episode. I had that little microphone. We were using GarageBand. We were on, I think, were we on Zoom?
No, we did Discord video, and I recorded my audio. We
didn't do video for a while.
Well, we were on video so that we could see each other.
Not even.
No, you're right. We were just
I remember
in a regular
point
call.
where I was like, all right, George,
turn on your camera
like
so I can see you.
Yeah, it sounds like we're reading. We need to be more like friends.
But no, there was a point where I'm trying to think of what you recorded in GarageBand, because I did Audacity.
Yeah, I didn't trust Audacity because GarageBand had the feature on my MacBook where I could Command S and save while it was recording.
Oh yeah. Oh
so
my God.
every once in a while I would go over and just like Command S while it was happening.
Remember, it was for the first couple of years it was 3, 2, 1, I'm hitting record. All right, and one more time. 3, 2,
and then you would say 1.
And then the audio is synced up, and there we go.
So, you know what's crazy? 283 episodes. I think only one time we said, I don't like this episode, we're doing it again. And I think it was an Ultimate Muscle game, and we tried to do 2 in a day, and the last one we were just dragging.
I think the first one went longer than we expected, and we were just like, oh, we could breeze through this and get but it ended up being that when we did the playthrough, there was so much more that we wanted to talk about in that first game.
Yeah.
That by the time the second game came around, we were just like, hey, that first episode went a lot longer than we expected, and
Yeah.
I don't think that we could keep doing this. And I remember you just being like, I'm wiped, man. I was like, I'm glad you said it, because
We
I didn't
did
want
the episode, though, and I think that's the only one we like scrapped.
Yeah.
That never happened before.
Yeah, I think that's a crazy statistic to think of. But there's a couple of replays. It's 283 episodes, but there's a couple of interviews.
We'll get to
there's a
that.
couple
Don't
of
you worry.
replays and stuff. But yeah. All right, Spork's next question. Are there any games that you think would have made for a better episode or review if you had played them after playing another game? I think for John, it's Fire Pro, right? To go back and
played Fire Pro Returns as the first Fire Pro, and I rated it poorly, and then people rated me poorly on Apple. So I think there was a few before I got to the turning point. It was the Fire Pro Wrestling Joshi, I think, was the first one I actually clicked and I liked.
No,
so
but that was you needed. I don't even think that's a good answer. I'm already poking holes in my own, because you had to play the other ones to kind of familiarize. That's the learning curve of Fire Pro.
If I learned in the older ones and then came to Returns, which is such a good game, then maybe I would have appreciated that one a little better. Which is why we remastered it.
That's very true. Okay. Thank you for grounding my answer a little bit more to make it make sense.
Well, it does.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We, for the most part, with the exception of the yearly release games, we tried to. I mean, in certain cases we didn't, but we tried to play things in order for the most part.
Yeah, I think in the beginning we kind of went off a little bit.
Yeah, and then at a certain point we tried to keep it a little bit more on track.
Yeah, but for the most part we did get back on track.
Do you have a different answer than Fire Pro?
No, that's literally what I was going to say, because that's my biggest change throughout this whole podcast. But going back, something from my daily life, you know what I do? Whenever someone says, "Oh, did you know?" I just hear in my head, "Bam, bam, bam," and sometimes it even happens out loud, and they're like, "Huh? What the fuck you mean?"
Oh, I just hear when someone says, "Did you know?" I hear you, like I hear the lean into the mic, and then the "Did you know?"
Even sometimes, we're ending a work meeting, and I want to be like, "Game over." But I don't do that. That's silly. Don't say.
Oh, that's the other thing when someone says "game over."
Yeah.
In my head, I go, Marks.
There's so many. But Spork's third question. How do you see the video game landscape shape out in the next 10, 15 years? Are the days of wired to your living room numbered with all consoles being mobile?
Ooh, we kind of talked about this.
We did.
A couple episodes ago. And I think there is that hybrid of the mobile console or... with the docking station, that seems to be the best of both worlds. And I don't know. How do you feel about that? You've never owned a Switch. Your handheld mobile gaming experience is your phone and a backbone, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was a Nintendo kid. The last one I had was a DS and a PSP, I think.
Right. Modern days. Yeah.
I have no interest in a Switch 2, but that's only because of the games. But the Xbox Ally, which is going to have Windows 11 on it, which means you could play Steam games on it, including your Xbox games through the cloud or whatever. It looks like that's the future. I want that. If you could plug that into a monitor, which I'm pretty sure you can, I don't think I need my Xbox Series X anymore. I don't play it really to begin with because I'm on this PC most of the time, but I think... everyone's always like, "Oh, the future is VR." I don't think the future is VR because it's the same with the Wii. People don't want to move. I want to sit on my couch and play a game. I don't want to be interactive. I played that that boxing game on the MetaQuest. I was dripping sweat, and that was actually hard after 5 minutes. I don't see myself doing that, sitting here playing for an hour or two.
No, I think VR as a whole is great as an accessory. I think that the console releases with it as an option is good. But to your point, it's not for everyone. And sometimes when you want to play a game, you sometimes just do want to hang out and just not like that. That's the break from moving around and running around is to sit down on the couch or in your chair and play games.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the more handhelds, the better.
Yeah, I think I do think, much like we talked about a couple weeks ago, that it is something that is a more handheld with a docking station. And
bring back the Sidekick, but put Windows 11 on it and make it my phone. That's what I want.
It's actually a very interesting idea for a console. Wow, I hate how much I like that idea. That's really cool.
With the little flip screen and everything.
All right, Spork, thank you very much for all of your questions. And here we go. Next set of questions come from Germ. And Germ's first question is, what state or location would we have chosen to put a GTA game in?
Ooh.
That's interesting because they've done...
Has there been one in Vegas?
It's funny you say that because that's the first thing that I thought of too.
I mean, they did Florida, they did New York, they did California. I mean, Vegas makes sense, Texas makes sense, but you have like is Red Dead Redemption Texas? I've never played it.
No, I also haven't played it.
Where is Red Dead taking place? Oh, northern Mexico. Okay. So like, yeah, I mean, close.
No, I think I like Vegas.
Give me like Rhode Island. Like make it the smallest map ever. Let's just do nothing.
Oh, I think Vegas might be the answer because everything else just kind of could look like other. I'm trying to think of something that would be unique and not look like. Like
what
other
about
parts.
I mean, there's Europe. You could do like Italy.
I was trying to think of you could do like
Ireland,
France, or Italy, or Ireland, or like Iceland, or
Mexico.
Yeah, it's plenty.
Drug cartel and all that. Like make it like a Narcos type thing.
Oh, that could be fun.
Colombia.
That's very interesting. All right.
I like it.
Yeah, good options there. A couple of good
Maybe
options.
GTA 7 in 30 years. We'll get that.
Germ, thank you very much for that first question. Germ's second question is, how much money do we have to win from the lottery to keep the pod going?
Pay for both of our day jobs so we don't have to work. Build us a really nice studio we could drive to and hang out, have some pizza and record an episode. Maybe some like Coronas and limes on deck or something.
Are you making the pizzas?
I'll make the pizzas.
I'll make the pizzas. That upside down pizza that you posted in the Discord was
surprisingly good for how bad it looked originally.
No, it looked great. That's why I'm bringing
saved it with more cheese on it.
It looked great. That's why.
You know what someone brought up the other day? Soups from the cookbook. We should have made the damn cookbook.
What were some of the other things? We had the TK onion rings.
I could pull it up right now.
We had the Myers margarita.
I'm going to pull it up right now if I still have it. I should. Okay, so this is something kind of sad I've been thinking about.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to have to move all my files into my Z drive here, into like the archive.
Like the legacy, like your backup. They go from being in live files.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
I can't find the cookbook. It's all right. We'll find it and post it or something. It's got to be on social media somewhere.
No, I think John's answer kind of nails it. It's just it's more than just lottery money, I guess.
Yeah. We need time.
Yeah, it's longer days.
I think really... if we were able to like meet up maybe like even once a month and sit in a studio, like a nice studio, not just like our office or something, sit in a studio, have like a professional editor, like we're not doing everything, have like a social media guy, then I think yeah, that would do it. Yeah.
It's that's a hard question to answer. But yeah. I think Clash's answer is close. And then Germ's final question is, if you guys could have Dylan for the entire GMP ride, how do you think the pod would have gone? I don't know if Swoggle would have had the patience that John and I had to exercise.
I don't think I would have the patience for him.
Oh, I was just even thinking from how some of the games we played were like.
Oh,
some of the mechanics, how many times with certain games, like you would do your playthrough, I would do my playthrough. We would meet up to do the video for the YouTube, and then we would just be like, hey, did you also not know what you're doing in this game despite having already played it? And then we would try to figure it out together. Like it
was a lot.
I don't see him for certain titles having the patience to do that.
I don't know if he'd have the patience for us. All of our blood pressure would be way higher.
I mean, we've done a couple episodes, and he gets fired up just because you know how to push his buttons. Because you,
why not?
You are, as someone who did a podcast with him, you are really good at pushing his buttons.
Yes, yes.
You
and that's why
you and Shoes really good.
That's why he exposes my real name to the world every chance he gets.
Hey, we've said
Jeff
it on this.
And all the front row Creator Pro guys who scream it every time they see me at a show.
We've said it on this podcast a couple times too.
It'll live with me forever. Go Roos!
Okay, Germ, thank you very, very much for all of your questions. All right, next question comes from Adam Salzer. And Salzer's question is, if you had to do it all over again, who would you choose as your co-host instead?
No one. We're destined to do this forever. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we really. I mean, we've had little, maybe not even arguments here and there. Nothing
you and me?
Ever crazy. Yeah, nothing.
Oh no, we've had conversations, not even an argument. It's just like we'd be like, hey, I want to do this. Like, oh, I don't think that we should do that. Well, I really want to do it. All right. Well, if you feel very strongly, then we'll do it. Like if you feel that strongly about something, or if I felt that strongly about it, like you make the case and you go, oh, all right. I guess he's seeing a bigger picture with this, so then we'll go ahead and do it.
Yeah. I mean, we debated bringing a third person on for a little bit and never got to discussions or anything. It could have been Swoggle, could have been Phil, could have been CPA. Everything was perfect the way it was. Yeah,
it was a perfect. It was the perfect setup, just from how this started on X. Like that's all it was.
And I explained the whole story on Chris Andrews' podcast. Go check it out, Coach C.
Adam, thank you very much for that question. The next two questions come from Tecker. Tecker's first question is, what was your favorite song to hear George play on his drum stream for St. Jude's, and why was it Aliens Exists? Yeah.
Walk us through it.
So, the first...
Tell us about it.
What was it? Second, third year?
Second or
we
third.
did St. Jude. So we were raising money during the pandemic for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and one of the things that we did to drum up a little bit more money for the charity was I did a drum stream, and people could request songs, and I put together a list of songs, and Aliens Exist from by Blink-182 was on that list, and I was like, yeah, I could play this song. That's fine. And then the songs. Well, and then the song started, and it was a lot faster than I have thought about it or played it back in my head. And that intro was really what threw me off, and I just couldn't. It was one of those things where I started offbeat and I couldn't get past it and recover. And it was just, I started and retried it multiple times, and at a certain point, they just said, get through it and find it later on in the song, just wherever you can. And so, yeah,
it's probably the hardest song they could have asked you to play. So, and on the spot and on the stream. I mean,
I had someone request Tom Sawyer by Rush. And
God.
And somehow Aliens Exist was still worse than that.
All 9 18 minutes of Tom Sawyer, whatever it is.
Yeah, it was. I will say that was a highlight for sure. Just because I think that was one of the years that we did really well for St. Jude's, and
I wish we did more
your
stuff
own
like
solo stuff. I did my own solo stuff. We did the streams together. Like we just like that was truly like.
I'm gonna miss the Gamebury. It's so much to put together, but it's so rewarding at the end.
Rewarding, yeah. That I mean, there's a question that's probably the last question that we're going to answer. That's probably going to come back up. But Tekker's next question is: who's your favorite wrestler to play across all wrestling games?
Ooh,
I think my most consistent is Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. Or maybe Bam Bam?
If we're talking old games, I like playing as Liger.
Yeah, we've done Liger and Muda a lot. You did Sting a lot, obviously.
But if we're playing like now or a current game, Randy Orton's always my pick. I just think his moveset's fun. You could do the RKO literally out of nowhere.
Yeah,
from his first game on.
Who we always like, it's always Sting,
Vader,
Scott Hall,
Brody,
Vader, Bam
Stan
Bam,
Hansen.
Muda, Liger. Who else? Eddie Guerrero, Edge, Jeff Hardy.
Those are definitely some of my favorites. AJ's one of my favorites to play in the 2K
yeah.
games.
Cena's popped up a couple times. Shawn, Triple H.
I'm not necessarily a fan, but I always liked playing games as Punk. Just a cool moveset. A lot of fun things you can do.
Come up a couple times in matches as well. Yeah, there's a long list, but I think your most played has. Oh yeah, Canyon.
Yeah.
I mean, I think your most has to be Sting, right?
I guess. I think I do it mostly just for the podcast, but I don't necessarily enjoy playing as like older Sting. Like he doesn't have a great moveset to play in a video game with.
I think it was
even
always
some of the Crow stuff. It's not great.
Multiple matches. And you'd be like, oh, well, I got to do them for one.
Yeah. Like even current, whatever, later on Sting, not the greatest moveset for a video game. Yeah. I don't know.
That's a really go through the Rolodex of all the games that we played and try to think. But that's a good question. Thank you very much for those questions, Tekker.
Love you, Tekker.
Appreciate it. The next set of questions comes from Will
Beefy Bagel Boy.
The Bagel
Will
Boy.
is ballin'. Wait. Okay, a little backstory here. Will was just someone who pestered us on Twitter for a very long time about Fire Pro Wrestling. What I was talking about earlier, how I got roasted for the returns, I think this is when Will happened. There was a point in the podcast where I got a voice recording from Will to surprise George with. We were talking about him every week. There was a point where George said, I think it's enough with the Will talk on the podcast, where we had to stop talking about him because he was just pestering us on Twitter so much about Fire Pro and whatnot. We would go back and forth all the time. He has been a mainstay since the very beginning of the pod, in the Discord, everywhere, playing games with us, playing Among Us.
One of the OGs for sure.
To the point where I was up near him for like around the time my wife's grandma was passing. So it was not a happy time. And he said, I am within screaming distance of you. Like if I talk outside, you might hear me. If you need to grab a drink, if you need to get your mind off things, let me know. I am right here. Fortunately, things happened and we couldn't do that. But he sent me a gift when my baby was born. I think I helped him with something with his. Will, we've had our differences all along. Fucking love you. I consider like everyone we just named and even more that didn't ask questions and those coming. Like these, you guys are my good friends now.
Say
we've built a community.
We've had a good group from the beginning.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Will's first question. If you could only play 5 games for the rest of your life, what would you choose?
Gears of War, Halo. Okay. At this point, Fortnite. No Mercy. And Day of Reckoning. There we go.
I'm going to say, I'll throw Fortnite in there. I'll say No Mercy. We'll do Star Wars The Force Unleashed, the first one.
Damn. I'm taking Day of Reckoning out and I'm putting in GTA 5.
Oh, I'm going to say Need for Speed Underground 2. And yeah, I'll put GTA in there too.
Yeah. Like, you love them because that was really easy.
Yeah, well, I don't know which GTA. I think I'm going to go 5.
I'm going 5 because I've replayed the others and they don't really hold up well. The controls, the graphics.
All right. Will's next question is, of all the games you've played on the pod, which gets your strongest play it forever and which gets the strongest future endeavor? The strongest one is the strongest play it forever is No Mercy. It's got to be.
It has to be. I think TNA Impact number 2 for me. Oh man, the strongest future endeavor. I feel like there were definitely games that we absolutely hated.
No, yeah, there were.
I just can't think of what they were.
I think I might have to look at the list of the future endeavor games too.
Damn, we future endeavored the second Rumble Roses game. What were we thinking? Strongest. That's tough. Like I do remember.
I would say that's a hard one to come up with.
I remember flipping out over a few. I mean, like Iron Slam, Simpsons
Iron
Wrestling
Slam
was so
the
bad.
First one that I thought of.
Aftershock was so bad.
What about
Hogan's Main Event?
Dreamcast Rumble?
That I hold nostalgia to that.
As I say, that's not so bad. When you think about it compared to other things, it's not so bad.
5-Star Wrestling. That was also one. Remember that one? Hey, remember we got our hands on what was it?
Oh,
that WCW game. UWC?
Yeah, UWC. The unreleased
cool.
wrestling game.
Oh, it's a strong future endeavor for me? Brasstown.
Ooh, what about 360 Fire Pro?
Ooh, that was bad too. Man, there's some bad ones. But to say like a definitive, like I hate this game, man, I don't know. It's like we played those John Cena games and stuff. Bad Girls Wrestling was horrible. Jelly Wrestling.
John, how do you feel about Nacho Libre?
Ugh. It's hard to consider that a wrestling game, to be honest.
That's so early on in the pod.
Yeah. Or even Rumbleverse. Kind of got us back into BRs.
Oh,
here.
yeah. Rumbleverse, yeah.
That game should have been more. I'm sad that game was gone.
Man, that's a lot. When you look at all of the games that we play, it's crazy.
That we've played 283 episodes. I think around the holidays a couple years ago we started doing re-releases because we deserved a break. There were a few remasters. I would say we played around, with interviews and stuff, 250 games at least. And one day we'll have that full number. But man, that's more games than I ever thought we would ever play on the show.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, what's the rule that they used to say about podcasts? If you get past the first 10, first 6?
Yeah.
You could say that it becomes like a part of like a real rotation of episodes and stuff, and you like build it into your schedule.
Couldn't do that in Clash and Burn, but maybe one day.
All right, Will's next question, a part 2, I guess. Also, what game on the pod was the most surprising to you, good or bad?
Oh, see, there's a lot of those to me.
I know what I was the most surprised that you liked.
What?
Saturday Night Slam Masters.
I don't know. I
didn't, for some reason, I didn't think that I thought you were going to be like, this doesn't feel like a wrestling game. It's not my style. Like, sure. Because at the time, that's early on. That's like first 10, I think. And the only other arcade games that we had played that were similar to that were In Your House and the arcade game.
Yeah.
WrestleMania.
I mean, I was a Mortal Kombat kid. I appreciated it. I think any of the All Japan games shocked me because those are fun, like the Shin Nippons and all that.
Yeah.
A lot of those were fun. And For some reason, throughout a lot of the games on the podcast, I hold a lot of nostalgia for that game style. Like that reminds me, like I could vividly remember where, like sitting at my desk playing those. I don't know why. The Ultimate Muscle, like stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Ultimate Muscle series was
Who
very
knew
surprising.
we'd fall in love with Kaneko on this podcast?
What about I mean, it's the last episode. We have to mention it at one point. What about Cutie Suzuki?
Another one. I found the shirt the other day and I couldn't get rid of it. It's so small, it doesn't fit me because whatever we used, that website was so bad. I never was able to wear it. Horrible. Just horrible.
Oh God, yeah. There's that. That's a very good question. The first part and the second part, because it's hard to think about how many, to go through. I mean, we have the list in front of us, and it's still hard to pick.
Yeah.
But all right, those are all of Will's questions,
Will.
and the final. Thank you very much, Will, for all of your questions. And the final question comes from the Soupy Man, Mr. Soups.
He's named Soups because he is the super GMP podcast man.
The man with the GMP
I
man
can't even say
mask.
super fan anymore. He's just Soups.
He's just Soups, yeah. The man with the GMP mask tattooed on his forearm.
Another guy who has literally become part of my everyday life. One of my greatest friends. Fucking love you, Soups.
Soup's final question, and the final question for the Softlock is all-time favorite moments on the podcast, Discord, stream, FWF, everything.
I think
I mean,
that last word, everything.
I would say that everything is very, very encapsulating and very, very true. Because
Gamebury, our favorite thing every year.
Gamebury, it's the best thing that we did.
The best
with
thing.
The podcast.
Literally the best thing. I mean, I posted it on our Instagram the other day. The Eddie Guerrero moment in GMP 64 when he was eliminated.
That's very funny. Yeah. The FWF training montage.
Those were so good. Like
That
I
was
wish more
very-
people watched those. I'm gonna post them again.
All credit. That was so. Like you said before, that doing wrestling video games is a niche of two categories. It is people who like video games, and it is people who like wrestling. We are a niche of a niche.
Everyone likes video games, but not everybody likes wrestling.
Yep, and vice versa. Not everybody likes wrestling.
Yeah.
Everybody. So we are a niche of a niche. And then that is another layer deep. It's, do you listen to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast? Are you aware that they're putting on a pay-per-view? Are you aware that these other guys that are on their network are on the pay-per-view? Do you want to watch a funny office-style joke training montage of that?
It was so
it is
good.
So many layers deep within the already super niche genre that we're in.
Just so good. We put so much time and effort into that. It was great. Everything we did, we put a lot of effort in. Like I remember when we started the Patreon and we announced it during a GMP 64 pay-per-view on Twitch.
Yep.
I didn't expect anybody to show, and people flocked in. I mean, I think as far as biggest regrets in Game Marks podcast history, maybe it's the Patreon.
I was going to say it's kind of a double-edged sword. It was
like it started during a pandemic where we were both home, but eventually when we were not home anymore, things had to change. It was hard to keep up with. And then we were noticing, I mean, I don't care saying it, the views were down on some of the videos we did. Like people, maybe you didn't care about this and that or playing GoldenEye and whatever. You just wanted the wrestling.
It's also probably the same thing of we were short on time because, we had to, everything was going back to the way that it was, and so was everyone else. So it's just hey, I don't have as much time as I used to watch all the stuff.
Yeah.
And
no.
There was never a point that I ever felt that what we were doing wasn't we appreciated the effort and what we put into it. And the people that were a part of our Patreon also said, hey, appreciate everything that you guys are doing. Just, I don't have to, I'm working on catching up on stuff. I'm already, a couple episodes behind on this. I want to go back and watch this as well. And, we're not only thing that people were watching. So
What? No, but I mean everything from being a part of that network, getting the chance with
that was
that was
huge.
your idea. Your the network was your idea. You pitched that in a slideshow to the Major Pod, and they liked it so much that they ran with it for a while. I mean, we were on there for a while. I wish it worked out. They're still our great friends. We still love them. We owe a lot to them, and
100%.
it was a great time. I mean, everyone we came in contact was so cool on the show. There were other podcasts we became friends with, and I never knew, like, are you supposed to be friends with these people? Like, is there heat? Like, maybe that's just the wrestling world you come from. Everyone was super nice. We made a lot of connections, a lot of good friends. I never in my wildest dreams thought that we would be able to talk to guys like Mike Herman, Justin Leeper. Like, I think
Swoggle.
like, yeah, you became good friends with Swoggle during all this. Like, we both like now talk to him all the time. Like I remember,
and we had Matt and Brian on.
Matt and Brian, Mark. Like, and we had MJF on as a favor for me making a T-shirt for him. Like,
Chris Statlander.
Yeah, that was our first one. Like, we just were able to. I felt bad asking people to do stuff, so I think we could have had more moments. Like, we always wanted Brian to play Aladdin or something with us.
Oh, that was the running joke. I feel like at a certain point we talked about it so much, and we talked to him about it, that it just became the joke. It'd be like, yeah, we'll do it one day. Yeah, we'll do it one day.
I just always felt bad bothering people. Like Justin Leeper, I would annoy for like SmackDown vs. Raw facts after the fact, and he happily would give the information and send us voice notes and all that. You know, Hall of Games, we inducted him. He sent us a cool video and all that.
Hell, think about this. We had my friend Max make the intro song to the podcast. And then within the first, year or so, maybe a little bit after the podcast, Max
cast my friend Max.
Outro. So the podcast was musically bookended by Max's. And hell, man, we even had Tony Chimmel do the lead-in to the songs.
Big update from Dave Sturcio. Let me tell you.
That was a huge, and it's all, we are living proof that it's just.
It's who you know or who you ask. You know, it was really stupid.
Oh man!
Remember, I made like a 1 year or 1,000 listens.
10,000 was 10,000
downloads.
Downloads.
Why did I think Taylor Hendricks was in that because she was $5 on Cameo.
Yeah, it was a lot of cameos.
It's like Aaron Rourke before anybody knew who he was. Max Caster.
CPA was in it. Yeah.
Then Taylor Hendricks. Why did I do that? I don't know. I did stupid things.
And to think about, this was where I was leading with the with Caster doing the outro song. To think about where everyone was when we started the show, and to see all the incredibly cool things that everyone has gone on to do. MJF and Aaron Rourke, and I mean he wasn't officially on an episode, but Bryce was there a couple of times when we were doing stuff.
Yep.
And
think about us,
Caster and Bear Bronson.
Think about our growth. Think about how many gray hairs we've grown. I have a child now. I have a house. Like, I used to record in the bedroom of an apartment with a MacBook.
And a Peloton in the background.
It's here.
No, but it used to like be where your Sting case is. Like, it used to just be.
I watched something we did the other day from that era. It was so cringe to watch. With like,
I watched something that we did from one of the first couple episodes, and both of us have so many less grays, and I was just like,
"Hey, just for him, baby, get on board." Oh man,
leaving me in the dust here, man. You're just leaving me to be Silver Fox by myself.
I'll tell you how to do the box. All right, I got some facts here. I want to spitball here.
Well, hold on before we do that. Thank you very much to everyone for the questions,
doing this now? Okay.
Not just for today's soft lock, but for all the soft locks dating back to when we started doing questions of the week.
Hey,
appreciate it.
Yeah, soft locks, questions of the week, gaming news. We had a lot of segments on here. I'm happy with I think this is the best format we've ever had, and I'm happy with it.
And I will say, and it always makes John laugh, that we have a lot of bullet notes or the points to hit on when we intro or outro a segment. The soft lock has never had those bullet notes, and every time John goes, I don't know how you remember that.
He remembers it. He just does it.
I don't know how you do it.
No, we'll get into our little thank yous in a little bit. But here's some facts. We have played 19 Fire Pro Wrestling games, 28 WWF games, 40 WWE games, 11 WCW games, 3 ECW games, 3 AEW games. We have played about 33 consoles. That was hard to figure out, but we're roundabout in the 30s. Double Future Endeavors, 77. Double Play It Forevers, 120.
Hey, we're trending positive. Okay.
Yeah. I have played it forever, 131 games, and Future Endeavored, 104. You
Okay.
have played it forever, 146, and Future Endeavored, 89. That's on par with your record reviews.
3 stars.
I have only flipped on one game from a Future Endeavor to a Play It Forever, and that's Fire Pro Wrestling Returns. You have flipped on 2. That's Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling, Tokan Retsuden, and Day of Reckoning.
Day of Reckoning is
Yeah.
that needed to happen.
You Future Endeavored that one early. We have remastered Day of Reckoning, Fire Pro Wrestling Returns, Saturday Night Slam Masters, WCW NWO World Tour, and WWF In Your House and WrestleMania Arcade Game. We have had 26 guests, with the first being Chris Statlander and the last being the Elder Spork.
Hell yeah, joining us for
What a drop off
Mario
there.
Month.
What a big drop off. We have had 5 video game history of episodes, which were Sting, Brett, the Legion of Doom, the Ultimate Warrior, and the Undertaker. We have had best and worst of the Steel Cage, Backstage, Ladder Match, Mini Games, Elimination Chambers, Hell in a Cell, and the evolution of the RKO. Our very first episode was WCW NWO World Tour, and our very last
pitching
was
that to you.
WWF No Mercy.
I remember pitching World Tour being the first game, and you being like,
Wouldn't have it any other way.
"Are we sure we should start with that one?" And I was like, "The only other option is that we start with No Mercy," and that's where it was before we even recorded the first episode.
Imagine we came out swinging like that.
John already laid out either the last episode or the episode that we never do is No Mercy.
We didn't know how far this would go. We didn't know how far we would take it. There were some times we wanted to probably not do this anymore, but we always hung on. I mean, doing this weekly, it hurt, especially during the pandemic. We were recording GMP 64 3 times a week. We would record the gameplay, then we would record the commentary, I think, and then there would be the editing. Then,
so it would be we would record the matches, then I would have to edit the matches, drop in the music and the crowd noises, and cut all that up, make that file. Then you and I would have to get together again to do the commentary.
It was tough.
Cut up and mix that again. Then render all that out, then upload it, and then because that wasn't enough. Then we had the Patreon version of Game Over that you edited because we each needed to be doing a show. But I look at it this way. All of that set us up for the smooth run that we had for GMP 24. And now everything that you're doing with Clash Tube Wrestling. It has been
we had fun, right?
A learning experience both in like the actual education of like, hey, didn't really do a ton of video editing, and now both of us have made YouTube shows of, varying content. And
through this podcast, indirectly, I was able to edit Cody Rhodes' podcast for him, Steph DeLander. I have another one coming up. There's been others here and there in the mix. Like, that's all thanks to this. When you and Swoggle didn't know each other from a hole in a wall before this.
No, we met at the first FWF.
To help him with his Twitch channel, right?
And he literally came up to me and said, "Someone told me that you're the Twitch guy." And I went,
I think I did.
I mean, I'm not the Twitch guy, but do you need help with Twitch? He's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to set that up." And that was it. I helped him set up his Twitch channel, and then a couple of months later,
Matt's reaction though when he picked you to be his co-host. He's like, "You could have anyone. You picked George Feis."
Yeah, why? That was my reaction. I was like, "Why would you?" Like, I am like, pick Mark. Like, Mark is at least in wrestling and a wrestler. And then when you see how far, like, what Mark is doing now, like, that clearly
we're glad you did it.
Well, I look at it this way. The focus was supposed to be on Swoggle and his career and all that stuff. So he probably did it in the sense of, if I do it with, someone like a Matt or a Brian, it becomes more about like our time on the road and like their memories of the situation. And this was supposed to be a a podcast format of Swaggle's career.
Yeah. Hey, you gained a good friend out of it.
Hell yes. So did you. Now you're doing all the ACW stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, we're always going to be in our universe here. The GMP universe is going to live on. Like we said, the catalog is going nowhere. The only thing that's changing is we won't be here weekly. If you want to go back and listen to a game, it's going to be there. It's going to be on YouTube or whatever platform you listen to. That's not going anywhere. I was going to say something else, and now I forget. Oh, the only thing changing, the website's going away because I don't want to pay for it anymore.
Yeah.
That's up in August.
That makes sense. And at a certain point, the PodExchange.shop store is going to go down as well.
I was going to say next. That one will be... the store is still going to exist. It just won't have the fancy URL. So it'll still be there.
We'll pin a post on X about all the permanent links.
Yeah, Pro Wrestling Tees will still be there. The Discord will still be there. Just ask us and we will let you in. Yeah, man.
And then what else? I'm trying to think. Is there any... I mean, the socials will still be there.
You just probably won't see a post from them unless I'm like promoting my own stuff.
I was going to say, the post will be a lot of the Clash Tube Wrestling content, repost about when Clash is going live, which let's just get this out of the way now.
Here we go.
Go and do it. YouTube.com/Johnny Clash, Twitch.tv/Johnny Effin Clash. That's Johnny FN, the letters FN.
Like
Clash.
Fortnite, but also like ECW.
There you go. It's the meeting of both worlds for John.
I raided a guy the other day and he said, "Oh, thanks for the raid, John Fortnite Cash," or something. I was like, oh, okay. We're gonna X out of this one.
You knew that could be a problem. Old Johnny Fortnite.
Yep.
And then what else? Did I miss a plug? I did your YouTube. I did your Twitch.
Just go follow everyone you've ever seen on this show. Our friends, wrestlers, games. Just, you know what? Most importantly, keep fucking playing wrestling games. If you have to bitch about 2K, go bitch about 2K. If you want to wait for the wrestling code, go wait for the wrestling. If you still play AEW Fight Forever, I applaud you. Keep playing AEW Fight Forever. Just keep playing wrestling games. And, you know, through that, we'll always be here. Because if you if you pick up a game that you've never played before, chances are there's an episode on it and you can go check it out.
Yeah, man. It's
You think Pro Wrestling X will ever like actually come out, or did it actually come out? I don't remember.
No, it's like the running there's like the working version that they just keep patching and updating.
Oh, good for them.
That's like the whole platform is that they just do like every quarter or something. There's like a patch or something that comes out.
Good for them.
Yeah, man, this is hard. I don't
We
know
like
how
don't
to
wanna
end it,
end, right?
and I don't want to just end it.
Well, let's just say this. You're here. If you're listening to this right now, you've probably been here before. We cannot thank you enough for almost 6 years. We are a month away from 6 years at this point, which is crazy. We've been doing this for too long. We fucking love you. You're all great. You've taken your time out to listen to us talk about probably a dumbfire pro wrestling game that you're never going to play or can't have access to play. And we can't thank you enough for just everything throughout the years. For every single listener, Patreon, every single person who's there's a lot of people who interact with us on social media that I've never seen in a Discord or anything. Thank you to you guys. We know you're there. Thank you to all of our friends, our guests, just everybody.
Yeah, there's
Soups is shedding a tear right now.
It's I don't want to repeat everything that you just said, and you did such a good job at like summing everything up. Yeah, really, like that's the number one thing is just thank you for almost 6 years for supporting the podcast, listening. If you've listened to every episode, if you've only listened to a couple of episodes, if this is the first time that you're listening to this because you saw that it was about No Mercy, we got a whole catalog of games we hope you go and check out. Whether you left a review or you made a comment on a post that we did or anything like that, thank you for the support. Whether you've donated a dollar to the St. Jude's or you've donated, hundreds of dollars. Thank you very much for your support. Know that from the beginning, this podcast was a labor of love from two lifelong wrestling fans and two guys who started this podcast not as friends, but are ending it as really, really good friends. I don't want to take TK's spot as best friends. But
We're going to go get a beer. Next week.
And of course, I got to thank you for doing this with me.
Dude, you put up with so much of my
back at you.
perfectionism, whatever the hell you want to call it.
No, I think that's why this works. I think we both kind of have that same level of expectation of the kind of product that we wanted to put out.
That's why I bought a new microphone 2 episodes in.
Video. we decided from the beginning that, and you touched on it when you said that we went back and re-recorded episodes. We have always been on the same page in that. Yes, we have annoyed each other. Like that is probably the better word for when we were talking about whether or not we had fights. I don't think we ever had a fight. I know that we annoyed each other a lot because something would be done and then I'd be like, hey, I listened to this and I don't really like this part. Can we edit that out? Or you would be like, hey, there's this thing that's in this episode of whatever for the playthrough and that is like my controller clearly wasn't working. Can we cut that out? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like I fumbled a word or I got tongue-tied.
Damn controller issues
or the latency issues. And I gotta say that I think that is one of the things.
Let me tell you something.
Oh boy.
This man has never opened an emulator and had it work on the first try ever.
Oh boy. Yeah. But that's not new. Like anyone who's listened to the podcast or has seen a live stream that we've done.
All right, George, I'll meet you at 7:30 for the podcast. All right, it's 8:30. Can we play the game now?
Yeah, there were some. And the worst is when it was emulators that had to work. Like if we played 2 PlayStation games back in a row and week 1, emulator worked perfectly fine. Week 2, something happened with the emulator doesn't work.
Every time.
That sucks. How'd that happen?
Every time.
All right. Well, here we go.
Do the spiel, even if it doesn't matter.
YouTube.com/GameMarksPodcast for every playthrough of every episode that we have done, with the exception of, I think, very, very few. We also have GMP 24, GMP 64, all of the content that we have made throughout the years. As of now, podexchange.shop for all of the exclusive merchandise for this show and Going Postal. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for our shirt designs. At GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. And if you wouldn't mind liking, commenting, subscribing, and ringing that notification bell.
That was one of the best bells I've ever rung.
That was crisp. That was really good.
Didn't have a nice reverb, but meat of it was good.
We did it, John. 5.5, almost 6 years of the podcast. We finally played No Mercy officially. And there was only one thing left to do, sir. Whenever you're ready, do that thing.
Game over. Just kidding. You think I would do that to you? Game over. Marks.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no game shard. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.